Kemautoke Pamo Mountain back to Atlantic Ocean Obomi Hills to Pocondre to educate, elevate and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. We are glad to be here. We are honored with a lot of respect for you. Our audience today is one of the holiest days in Christendom. Today is the week of Christ's resurrection. And the Christian take it very seriously, and rightfully so. So we are glad that you were able to share your time with us. For those who are here and those who are coming, we want to welcome you. We want to let you know that despite of our Christian faith and our beholding to what we do, we are also beholding to our social contract in being here every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time to give you updates of current events in Liberia. So for those of you who have taken off your time, Dr. Tao, Dr. Fidel Budi, my brother in Christ and in politics, Mr. Victor Nangbe, I want to thank you guys for your commitment your steadfast commitment to the cause, which is you who have been in church, you may have cut your celebration short to be here. Everybody have done that. That shows commitment. And this is why we are here. Today we have a great show. We are going to be discussing issues affecting our current event. And Dr. Booty, today is like a buffet. There's so much news. There's so much to talk about in Liberia that I won't say Liberian buffet. This is a Chinese Liberian buffet. We are going to have a feast. Ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor. Please share the show. Dr. Booty, share the show in your network. Dr. Tawo, do the same thing. Mr. Namwe, please do the same thing. And let us do a quick house clearance here. I have been receiving calls, a lot of calls from New Jersey, Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania area, Liberia, and the Baltimore area, that they are not getting our show any longer. In fact, a friend of mine by the name of Edward Hall from Washington, D.C., he called me. He said, Jerome, it looked like since your CDC got defeated in November, you have been off the show. You guys been off the air. So he has not gotten a notification from us since November. So I called the technicians to find out what was happening. They said it happened periodically from Facebook. You have to go and subscribe. So if you have not gotten the email, the text like me, on my own show, I do not even get the notification anymore. So today they told me this is what Facebook said we should do. First, we should click on any of the live video, like what's happening now. Click on the word follow. Basically, you are doing what you did previously. You are just redoing it, okay? But it has to be the live feed. Then select the option, all live notification. That means anytime we are on, anything we are doing, you are going to be notified. So first, you need to go and click on any of our live video. Like now, you can go now and click on the follow button, and then it should say live feed. Then you click on the follow live feed. Then you select the first option, which is all live notification. In that way, you will always be notified. Welcome, Dr. Padmore, my brother and friend. So for those of you who are not receiving the notification like me, I have not been receiving my own notification, and then I call and inquire today. So these are the steps that we need to take. Ladies and gentlemen, when you are out there, first click on any of our live videos that we are doing now. Click on the word follow, the live feed. Then the third step would be select the first option. It says all live notification. So my brother, all my brothers from Folksville, from Hartford, from Buchanan, who are not receiving the notification, and you thought we are off the air because CDC is no longer in power, do the 3 steps and you will be receiving our notification. Same thing with Mr. Padmore, people in your network. Some may not be receiving the notification. They may be wondering. They have to resubscribe. Same thing with everybody. So let's get going here. Today is Easter. Mr. Padmore, thank you for taking time off your business schedule, your church schedule, your family time to be here. It shows the commitment that On Point has to our audience. And for our audience who are here, listen, you could have been in the park, you could have been at one of your worship centers, but you took time off to be on here with us. We are honored. Mr. Padmore, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Excuse my lateness. I was just concluding a meeting. I just went a little bit over. But I'm glad to be here. I look forward to a spirited debate.
Great. Fidel, Dr. Fidel Castro, CT Booty. What's the C for? Is it Castro?
No, unfortunately, the C is not for Castro. But I'm happy. I'm happy for you to refer to it as Castro. I'm happy. Yeah. So, yeah. But no, it's good to be here. As always, I'm looking forward to bringing the debate from our chat room into full public view, so that people know how passionate we are about seeing our country becoming better. Because we all know that Liberia can do better, and that's why we gave the time to come here and share our ideas and thoughts.
Mr. Victor Nambe, Fidel is a controversial guy. You hear what he said? In the United States, we say, what happens if Vegas stays there? He said, no, we should bring it in. We should wash our dirty clothes in the public. Go ahead, Mr. Nambe.
Hey, listen, whatever Mr. Dr. Buddy wants, we will give it to him. Happy Easter Sunday to everyone. It's good to be here.
Great. Mr. Tawo, thank you very much. How Houston, my friend?
Houston is pretty good. The weather is good. The atmosphere is good. The food is good.
Okay.
I'm glad to be here, and I look forward to the discussion today.
Oh man, it looks like today is going to be we sometimes call it rumble in the jungle. Today we are going all out on issues in Liberia. I mean, things that we talked about during the weird time. Dead body being in the street. I just saw a video. The folks were protesting dead body being in the street for 3 days, go on the 4th day. And they have called the police. They call everybody. And no one's picking up the body, and they're getting ready to block the road, that the president won't go to work until they pick up the body from the streets. We saw in River Cess County, our brothers and sisters over there, so many people got, I guess, in the mine, they got trapped. And there is no way to get to them. The government has no access. The government has no equipment. In fact, nobody has spoken to that tragedy. We are also looking at Assest Recovery. I don't know what that is. And we will look at the presidential declaration, or whatever he calls that. He called it Executive Order 123. We'll look at what the executive orders say. And you know, I was at one of the embassies in Liberia, and one of the things that one of the staffers told me really touched me this week, when she said, it doesn't matter how much we spend on training these Liberians. We take them to the state, you take them to the best school, the best institution. When they come back to Liberia and they hit RIA, they return to status quo. This tells me, it reminded me of the Assest Recovery. We discussed that. We, FOL, we have been part of the Assest Recovery just recently, where the United States found someone guilty and then they seized the property and sell it to restitute in that order. But we got people, loyal trained in the United States, went back to Liberia and doing the opposite. Welcome, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman, and happy Easter to everyone watching. Thank you.
Great.
Sorry for being late.
The topics today, and Mr. Padno was able to put them in perspective for us. We'll be talking about Assest Recovery, the legality of the team and the process. And then second, the court order, the vehicle to be released. What's next? Representative Musa Bility's son was detained under drug charge or drug charges for another mine collapse or collapses and no ability to rescue the workers. The president have not spoken to the nation. Nobody has spoken. Nobody has said anything. But these are the folks who said they are so educated and experienced that the former president was a bobo president, never spoke to the nation, never said anything. So we'll discuss these things. Let's go over the topic, the issues again. Guys, please share the show. If you are having problem, if your partners are having problem receiving notification, they have to go and re-subscribe to the channel. They have to go and do the follow. After you click that, you go to the all feed and you select all notification. In that way, you will be doing it. Looks like we have to refresh every 6 months or so, or not. For Facebook will drop you that you are not interested in receiving notification. So, Mr. Padmore.
Yes, sir.
The asset recovery. Let's look at the process. We remember now we are small America, right? So President Walker campaigned on the rule of law. That everything would have been done by the book, the textbook, the rule of law. He did not want jungle justice. He did not want vigilantism. He wanted the straight interpretation of the Liberian Constitution. He's a constitutionalist, according to the campaign, because that's what he said he was going to do. Talk to me. Are we following the Constitution? What's going on here? What is happening in Liberia, my friend?
Well, first of all, what is happening in Liberia is an embarrassment. It's a complete embarrassment. The first thing is we saw the president create an asset recovery team. You already have the Ministry of Justice that is constitutionally mandated to carry on certain functions. He usurps the function of the Ministry of Justice, creates an asset recovery team that has no legality. They have no power. They have no constitutional backing. And he somehow thinks that if he just send them on their merry way, that they can go and start to act or pretend as if they are the law. And so he met up with his embarrassment, because they went and they started to confiscate, seize private property. And the first question I had to ask, I said, do people even know what they call asset recovery? To recover? To recover means that something was first yours, and somewhere along the line, you lost it, and now you are once more taking it back. That's how you recover. But you start packing people Tesla, and stuff like that, because you assume that the person worked for government, so you assume that the person stole, and you assume that the money the person stole, the person used it to buy Tesla, so you will confiscate the Tesla. What kind of craziness is that? And being done by whom? People that have non-legal, they're not police officers. They're not officers of the court. So what legality do these people have to get on the street and start demanding that people show them, show me your vehicle paper? Who are you? What legal right do you have to demand that I show you my paper? It's as if anyone are walking on the street and then Councilor Martin just stop you and say, show me your birth certificate that you're Liberian. It's in the same. Who are you that I'm going to show you anything? Now, if the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Transport, or even the GSA asks for something like that, that's different. They have a constitutional authority to do those things. Not Joseph Baka play the people he put together on trying to find a job to do that, to say, okay, go on the street, And I will say this because I said this to somebody else before. I told him, I said, look, it's chaos and you are scaring away investors. Every time you show that you don't know what you are doing, every time you show chaos, you are creating a questionable society or questionable environment, and you are scaring off investors. So I have much more to say, but I will stop there and I will give chance to my other colleagues to pitch in.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Do us a favor, share the show, share your comments. Thank you very much. As the comments are coming, we'll be reading them. Dr. Booty, here we are. Every time I'm in Liberia, when I go talk to my folks in Bassa, they don't want to talk to me. The folks say, oh, there you go, you're the educated people, you come from the United States. Every time you come here, you bring product. We don't want to listen to you. So Dr. Booty, you are here. You're one of the according to Mr. Fagon, you are a member of the intelligentsia, and the intelligentsia set the rules. And Mr. Booty, they are chasing us out of Liberia because year in and year out, it remains constant. Here we are, educated folks. The gentleman who is in charge of the Assest Recovery, they say he's a practicing lawyer in Liberia, a constitutionalist. That's why I heard Mr. Wayne, Martin Kula, I think his name is. Clyde Martin, his name is. They say he's a constitutional lawyer in Liberia. Dr. Booty, talk to me about this.
Well, I think let me. I think I don't know how the conversation is going to go tonight, but I'm going to draw a contrast between myself and Mr. Patmo. I think just before I jump into the contrast, let me just say, obviously, you mentioned people were coming after you saying that, oh, since CDC left power, you haven't been on the radio or on TV. I'm not a sedition. I don't belong to any political party in Liberia, so I'm neutral, right, when it comes to political affiliations in Liberia. But I think, look, I remember when former President Weah came into power in 2018, and this whole issue of the 16 billion and the 25 million mop-up was going on. The President Weah at the time constituted a committee to investigate whether or not the 16 billion had gone missing or whether or not the 25 million had been mismanaged, right? Now, the argument that Mr. Patmo is making could be made towards what President Weah did to say, oh, well, but by the way, we had GAC there. We had IAA, the Internal Audit Authority there. We had LACC there. So why did you not go? And Ministry of Justice, as Mr. Patmo so elegantly put it, why didn't the president go to those institutions? And why did he set up a new body? Now, in the United Kingdom where I live, and obviously I don't know about the United States, and you guys will be able to educate me. I know Mr. Morris will take the opportunity as soon as he gets. But in the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister can, as the head of the government, set up committees, right? Set up task force, set up working groups to do something that the executive has the power to do. Now, when it comes to the recovery of government property or allegedly stolen property, that is the work of the executive. So the legislature makes the law, the judiciary interprets that law, and then the executive go and implement, kind of execute. So it's their job to go and take. Now, I will stop short from saying that I understand the legality in terms of the things that they're claiming, the things that they're seizing, because like Mr. Patmo said, and obviously I'm not privy to that information, they took somebody taxi, right? Now, until you can prove that the money that bought that taxi was stolen, right, in a court of law, because this is my issue here. You have to go to a court of law. You have to present evidence that this person, Dr. Booty, took 100,000 out of government coffers on June 12th, whatever, and that 100,000 went to his bank account on June 13th. And we see 10,000 of that 100,000 went to buy this taxi. That's why we're claiming you have to be able to prove that in front of a judge. A judge has to approve that. Yep, I find out that this happened. Short of that, any asset that they're recovering is being done illegally, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Dr. Booty, you would never get a job in this administration because you want to go by the rule of law. Victor Nangbe, here we are here in these United States. Well, first of all, let's look at the team. The first batch of people appointed by the president, they were 20. And based on the budgetary item here, they were allocated $1.5 million Liberian dollar the first year and $2.1 million the next year. And the third year, he gave them $2.9 million. That's how they spread it out. So let's talk about $1.5 million here. The president told the finance ministry to release the budgetary line item for the Assest Recovery effective immediately. This is the president. Sounds like a king to me. Mr. Namwe.
Well, yes, good afternoon again to all. It is great to be here on this Easter Sunday. Yes, I slightly disagree with Mr. Padmore on the question of the legitimacy of the commission. I think by their creation through a presidential order, I think that gives them the legitimacy to exist. However, to Dr. Bodhi's point, I quite agree. Their actions have to be wrapped in the rule of law. They have to uh, their action have to be guided by the courts. For instance, the analogy that he used is quite in place. Your investigation first must establish that indeed the asset that you are going after was illegally gotten. And then, even before you do that, you have to obtain a court order to get out there and go and retrieve or recover that alleged illegally gotten asset. I don't really believe this is what was done, what we witnessed during the week. And so now, as a result, they find themselves being reversed by the court. But I think they have a very monumental task ahead of them. I think they need to plan much better. I think their existence is very, very necessary because, as we all will know, there were so many people who come in government. Not only this government, but almost any government. They come in, with pretty much nothing, most, not all, and they leave very, very rich people in Liberia. So I think they have it right.
Well, the Justice Ministry can do it.
The Justice Ministry could do that, but I think the president also has a right to set up a commission. I agree with you. This is extra budgetary undertaking that is now being taxed on the budget. I agree with you, but I think the president also reserves the right to set up a commission. That doesn't make it illegal or illegitimate. So I think, the Justice Ministry probably attach it to the Anti-Corruption Commission. I don't know, but the one point I would make quickly is that I had hoped that the president would have made it more independent by not putting it under the Ministry of State, because I believe they report to the Ministry of State. I would have hoped that he will. I hope he will, because it's not late yet. I hope he will add other members eventually, even from the WIA government. I believe that will give them a real sense of independence. So I think he should do that. But yes, going forward, I hope that they've had the teachable moment with the first attempt that was made. That attempt was a flop. I hope they'll go back to the drawing board and do a much better job.
Mr. Tawo, first, the size of the recovery team. We talk about from the get-go, the first 20. These were folks that were clamoring, protesting. Some of them were rescue Rambo, and they were not appointed in government positions. And all of a sudden, all of these people who were on the outside, some of them, they're a very good friend of ours based on focus on Liberia. Their names surfaced. Now we got 20 of these so-called disgruntled people that were at Joseph Waga's neck. Now 20 of them 20 of them with $1.5 million set aside for them. Mr. Tawo.
Yes. Before I speak, I would like to point out two key things. You can see from my fellow panelists, the first three people that spoke, you can see the struggle of trying to balance this. Padmo came in, he made a point that these guys have no legality and they have no this. Bodhi come in and he countered that to some extent, and that in the UK, even here in the US or in Liberia, the president can set up and then Mr. Nangwe back that. But you see, this is the problem that we have right here in this so-called democratic structure that they're giving us. All of the contradictions, the imperial presidency, right, or executive, as I will put it. Okay, so if you have the justice ministry, in the first place, we are talking about the illegality of the asset recovery team, right? If you look at the stuff constitutionally, if we're looking at something that works, even the so-called GSC, the so-called LACC, I would look at these things that because something was drawn up, right, and it was passed as law, don't mean it is right. A lot of the wrong and a lot of the corruption that are committed legally. Because the very people in government have vested interest, they draw up these laws and they pass them at the expense of the state. So if you have the justice ministry that already can persecute somebody like me, who is a Liberian, if I went and stole government property, if I stole something, and they have all of these structures already that are created within the GSC, within the LCC, within how do you call that one, or the Financial Intelligence Agency. They already have these structures already set up within the Justice Ministry and within the police, which is part of the Justice Ministry, right? But guess what? They created all of these things, created a bigger government, suck up the budget. So it's the same thing you are seeing. So if anytime the president can issue an executive order, because he's the president and the executive can do that, don't they have trust in the Justice Department or the Justice Ministry? And if they created the GSCC, if they created the LSCC, if they have the GSA, what? They lost interest, confidence in those institutions that will come again, create another one. Each time they create one, what did we get when they created GSC, LSCC? What the benefit that the country have actually reaped since they created them? These people have budgets in the millions, right? Yep. So this is the problem that we have. So I think all of the groups are illegal. They shouldn't be there. They need to remove them, strengthen the Justice Ministry, make it work. Our problem is not that the laws are not there, the institutions are not there, but it's running. So what I see with the asset recovery, the government have no interest and real intention in recovering assets. They campaign on this stuff. People think that they're making mistakes because they're just dumb that they make. No. This is actually the strategy. Jump in there, create budget, pay people off that campaign, get job for them, screw the whole thing up in a way. The court come and block it. You run to the labyrinth. Well, I was going to do it, but you see, I can't do it. They have no intention. I've been saying this here. Because they themselves intend on stealing the labyrinth money. We see in the sense they came to power. Have they declared any asset? No. All of the missteps that y'all want to say, but I would say corruption that happened. Where is the investigation? Who have been held responsible? So this is not accident. These guys are planning this stuff and they're executing it. And so at the end of the day, they will say, we try to do it, but the court beat us back. That is why they're not doing it correctly. Because they themselves, 6 years from now, whether they win or they lose, they have no intent. They hope that nobody will touch them too. And then the next guy will come there, he will play around the same way, and then they will just move on with the same thing. So this is what we have here.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Elvis, first of all, Mr. Patmore talk about the legality in the law. They will say whether they have standing. I want to side with Mr. Patmore because, first of all, an executive order is only valid for 12 months. How do you do a 3-year budget for an organization or institution that should die after 12 months, Mr. Patmore? Before I go to you, Mr. Morris, let me wish our partner here, Mr. Jimmy Eastman. He's off today. Today is his birthday, and he's spending the time with his friends and family. So we want to say to Mr. Eastman here, happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday to you. I know you just turned 27. Keep it at 27. Don't go any further. My friend, go ahead, Elvis.
Happy birthday, Jimmy.
You're around 27, so he's your age.
What will you do at 27? I'm at 30, I'm not 27.
Oh, so you're older than Jimmy Eastman. Okay, that's it. Go ahead.
Let me just say this. Happy birthday to Mr. Eastman, too. I would disagree with you, Mr. Padmore, on the legality of the team. I think the team is legally constituted. Like Dr. Booty said, the president has some awesome powers, and one of his powers is constituting commissions and special counsels, for special investigations. So he has this power, and he has legally constituted his team. The key thing here is there's three incidents that was handled illegally, like Mr. Namboy had alluded to. The first one is the issue with Finda bundle. Like people say, there's a difference between asset recovery and asset retrieval. It's quite similar, but there's some nuances between the two. Recovery would be something where somebody embezzle money, put some of the government asset, which is can be in the form of money, into like an offshore account where you can't physically see it, but you're going to dig, you're going to investigate, and wherever that investigation leads you to, if those funds were, found to be government asset that was diverted, you can recover them. Asset retrieval is like you send somebody come and borrow your pot, and you send your son to go retrieve your pot from your neighbor's house. It's something that that you own legally, and somebody took it with or without your permission, and they refused to bring it back. So then you can go retrieve it with the law, which is what this team should primarily be doing, recovering or retrieving assets. Because the reason I'm saying they should primarily be doing that is because the people who comprise the team, most of them are not, qualified in these specific areas to do the job. Most of the time when you have asset recovery team, these are people who are experts in whether it's financial crimes or, some other specialty where you recover assets when people steal it, financial auditors and things like that. I think our former colleague here at FOL, Mr. Coffey, I think he worked at the FIU or something like that. He's in financial crime, unit, so he's qualified. Claire Martin, people have been saying he's not a financial expert in law. I think he practiced like civil law, something like that. So the team comprises of people who are not, and especially Martin Colley.
Martin Colley. I know what you're dancing around for.
Who goes on Facebook and do a little digging on people's academic credentials and think that he's some kind of investigator. So the team itself is the issue.
That legal team there.
Hold on now. So the team itself is the issue because I think they don't have enough qualified people in specialized areas to recover the asset. But then quickly, the issue with Patrick Sudu, the former police director, his purchase of the vehicle is being questioned to be somewhat illegal. And I would agree with it, but you can't arbitrarily make that decision unless the court finds him, guilty of some form of corruption. Because the issue is a Toyota. What's the name of the car? It's a pretty big car. It's a big Toyota, SUV. That car is like $65,000 new, and you've only had it for 3 years. Yeah, the Land Cruiser. You can't depreciate that car almost 90% of its value in 3 years. You know how people value cars here in the United States? You go through Kelley Blue Book. It's based on the mileage of the car, and so on. So if that car only has 30,000 miles and you're paying $5,000 for it, taking almost 92% of its value in 3 years, that is unheard of. So I think if you think that's illegal, you have to go to the court because he did exchange money for it. He was a purchaser for value in due course. I'm sure Mr. Booty will know what that means in the law. So if you pay money for something and you think that the value that you pay for is what it's worth, the court then you then quote unquote you purchase it legally, but you have to go to the court so the court can give assessments on the value of that property and see if you pay if you're a purchaser for value in due course. And then lastly, the issue with Finabona, like most people are saying, look, if this lady quote unquote stole money, that's why I don't understand. Maybe these guys are coming, they haven't worked for so long, so they don't understand what it means to earn a salary on a regular basis. This lady worked in government for 6 years. You know how much people make in government in Liberia? And most of the people are not paying taxes the way we pay taxes here. So most of their income is going towards, completed towards them. Most of them have homes, they're not paying mortgages. So if somebody's making $10,000 a month, more than likely they're getting $9,000 cash, hardcore cash that have no obligation to the government to pay any more taxes on. So this lady working for 6 years, she can afford those little, bitty, almost like a little smart card kind of taxi. Those are not even like truck or SUVs, or you'll say each one costs $30,000. Maybe they cost like 15,000 or so for each one of them. It's plausible that she could afford those cars with her salaries. So you have to investigate before you say that it was illegally gotten. The key that they have there, maybe it was a technical issue, which I don't think they were constituted to enforce that kind of law, which is the car wasn't registered. That's what the transportation ministry or even the police to determine that the car wasn't registered and thereby shouldn't be on the road. And maybe you'll confiscate it or seize it until the registration can be valid. But I think they're proceeding almost like people who have a vendetta against the former government, and some of the people on the team are questionable characters who were explicitly against the former government. So now it looks like a witch hunt. But constitutionally and legally, I think the team is legally constituted. But the way they're proceeding in their duties is been somewhat illegal, and that's why I think the court put a stay order to it, because the process. Say if you can't argue the law, argue the process. And on this case, the process is flawed, and probably the law itself that they're following to see some of these properties or our property investigation is also flawed. But I'll leave it there for now.
Well,
Jeremy, let me quickly make 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, let's clarify here. Coffee, I forgot his first name. Alex Coffee. I think Coffee has some experience at this. Clark Martin, again, he has some experience. He may not be an expert on finance law, but he's had some experience with anti-corruption commission. So that gives them a little bit of pedigree to work on this commission. And I think they also have the right to contract consultants to work with them on this project. I'd like to also mention, if this commission is to help us retrieve the millions and probably billions that have been stacked away, then I think a salary of, I think a total salary of about $6 million or so for the duration of their function. I really think that's quite infinitesimal compared to what they will likely rake in. My only problem is the last part that Elvis, Mr. Murray indicated. I think they have to establish their independence. I think the president, hopefully, I don't know what the law allows him to do, whether he can modify the Constitution. I think he should bring some.
One of the people can modify. Only the people through a referendum can modify the Constitution.
He said he don't know. He said he don't know. Let him.
Now are you all done having? Are you all done?
Go ahead with that.
Yeah, Easter Sunday ice cream. Yeah. So what I meant was the Constitution of the Commission, not the Constitution of the Republic of Liberia.
Okay.
So I was hoping that the president might have the option to reconstitute the commission and bring in more independent-minded people outside this government, because according to the pronouncement establishing the commission, they will be going illegally assets gotten by people from the previous government as well as people in this current government. I think that in itself makes it very difficult to still put it under the Ministry of State, when in fact the Ministry of State is run by people who are in this current government. So I hope you will rethink that and try to include other independent-minded people on the commission. That I think will also help to give him much legitimacy. I just want to make those few points.
Okay. Who is a constitutional expert? Clark Martin? Is that what he's saying? Or Mr. Booty? No, I just asked him because somebody could be an expert, maybe on the panel or on the team.
Mr. Morris, first of all, let me correct you. Based on the paperwork that I saw, that car was purchased the beginning of 2016, and they were turned over from Coleman. When Coleman was the police chief, he turned it over to the incoming police chief. He turned it over to Patrick Sulu. So the car was purchased 2016. So according to the law in Liberia, the car actually should be sold. They say after every 36 months, that 3 years. After 3 years, the car should be resold. Okay, GSA can sell it for whatever amount they see fit, and this has been going on before 2005 when Ellie came in 2006. This is a practice. Now, what some of us are saying, if these codes and these laws or these policies are not right, legally go ahead and repeal them, remove them, and correct them.
Right.
You don't just go and say, you know what, it is not right. For someone say Clark Martin is a constitutional expert. This is why the folks are saying the so-called educated folk, should not have anything to do in Liberia. And you are a constitutional expert, and you are behaving this way. And in these United States, we saw right after President Waika came to power on Spoon TV, they took their time and went to.
The man say you're talking about Mr. Nambwe, not Mr. Clark Martin. Wow, I see who you're talking about. Look at the comment. He said you're talking about Mr. Nambwe being a constitutional expert.
This is what we are saying here.
Mr. Martin is a lawyer.
But listen, Liberia, they do not have separation of law. You do all the law, so you go over there.
That's not true.
You want divorce? Listen, you go to Liberia and you graduate from the University of Liberia Law School. You want divorce? They do divorce. They do everything. The only time you can separate yourself, there is no school. There is no law school in Liberia that specializes in constitutional law. There's none. Zero. When I talk to Mr. Bronskin, I say, how come you and Mr. Tutman, you say you are the only constitutional lawyer for all, commercial law for all the
corporate lawyers?
Yeah, for all the
corporate lawyers.
He says Tutman did corporate law
at Harvard.
He did corporate law at University of Texas. So they separate themselves from Liberian lawyers. So they are considered corporate lawyers. Everybody else, you do all the other laws. So I'm only saying this.
Got common law.
Yeah, in anywhere you go, no president has the right to set up any commission or institution that violate the Constitution. It doesn't happen.
But this doesn't violate the Constitution, and you can't prove that it does. How does it?
You cannot usurp. Why do you have the LACC? Why do you have the PACC? Why do you have the Justice Ministry?
You know why the president formed this commission? One second, Mr. Gibbon. Let me tell you why he formed this commission. Let me tell you why he formed the commission.
How do you call all those institutions? How do you call them?
That's what I'm saying. This is the reason why he formed the commission.
No, listen,
because hold on now, you gotta let me respond.
Okay,
let me respond, Mr. Gibbon.
You're not answering, Mr. Padmo. How do we consider?
He's joking, Mr. Padmo.
What do we call them in Liberia?
We give Elvis an opportunity to respond to you.
At least you be fair to this. Let me respond, please. You don't like what I never answer. Let me respond. No, because I usually go everybody should have a chance to respond.
The LACC, the PACC, all of the institutions, what do they call them in Liberia?
Integrity institutions.
There you go. So,
right.
Integrity institution and the Justice Ministry, why you set up another one again to do what?
And let me tell you why. That's the reason I want to question why.
Go ahead. Tell us
why. You remember in the interview, the president, I think at the time it was president-elect, he said that people have concerns about the formation of the team, whether they would be impartial. And he stated that in order to fix that issue, he was going to bring people from outside. He's going to hire people from outside the country to come and do this work, to recover the asset. Hold on now. That's what I'm saying. That was his original intent, because he wanted to find people who was unbiased and, not implicating any of these corruption or even have some vendetta against the former government. So instead of doing that, spending extra money because it's going to cause an arm and a leg to bring international people to do this investigation, he constituted his team with people he felt were, quote unquote, independent and qualified. So he didn't want to bring people in who were already in the system, who may have been implicated or complicit in the corruption that happened from the past government. So he brought people from outside of the current government and who would not be, quote unquote, in his current government, people who have the integrity. This is the reason why he brought this team together. And constitutionally, he has the right to do this. In this very country, we have hold on now. In this very country, we have Robert Mueller, special counsel. We even have Jack, I forgot his name, who is prosecuting Trump right now. The Justice Ministry couldn't have done it because Trump was going to say, this is a guy who works in the Justice Ministry. He's against him. It's a deep state thing. So they brought somebody from outside. Why do you think they did that? Because they don't want to have the appearance of impropriety or somebody who working in the inside of the government to be seen to be biased against all towards the defendant. So in this case, I think the president have the right to do it. But the problem we should have is with the individuals that's on the team, because some of them are conflicted. That's the reason why he did it, to bring in independent people.
Can I please provide some information here, please?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me say this first. First, I want to speak to what Jerome Gaiman was speaking to, because that is very important. Look, we saw this government ignore the tenure law in Liberia when this was the same United Party that created those tenure positions. Now they are going after former government officials for purchasing vehicles when they were the same United Party that created the policy in government where you can buy an almost brand new vehicle for almost nothing. You are not all the things are going on. You hear anybody in the legislature talking? Do you hear the Senator General talking? You know why? Because all of them buying cars in the same way, brand new cars. They are buying the same way.
At a fraction of its value, which is corruption. Right.
Yes, it is. It is. And so first, that was my first thing I wanted to speak on. And I've made this statement before. I will continue to make this statement until somebody challenge me to it. Every single thing we saw the CDC government do, they learned it from Unity Party. CDC bring no new thing to the table. Everything that we are disgusted that CDC did, United Party were doing it before CDC. CDC only learn it and they carry it on. Everything that you see Joseph Baka pointing out that is wrong today, that CDC did, United Party started it before. That's why they are afraid to extend the orders. They are afraid to extend the orders beyond 2017 because they know the very same people it will entrap them. Now, second thing I want to say here before we move forward. Special counsel. You know, we like burn people. We like to imitate the white people, the American people. Special counsel. Let me tell you something. The president of the United States cannot create a special counsel. The president of the United States cannot appoint a special counsel. Only the attorney general can do so. The minister of justice in America can do so. The president can request that the minister of justice, the attorney general.
There you go.
Yes, he can request.
If the president requests it, who is the request coming from? It's coming from the president. So in essence, he's requesting the formation of it.
Mr. Elvin, let the man land.
If the attorney general appoints a special counsel, that special counsel is under his watch. It's under the attorney general. And therefore, the attorney general covers him constitutionally. That's why the special counsel can go with the power. And that's what I'm saying. This task force was not created under the Ministry of Justice. So it cannot use the power that the Constitution gives the Ministry of Justice. Joseph Parker does not have that power. It is given.
He does. He's the head of the executive. The Ministry of Justice is under the executive. He is the leader of that entire branch of government. He is the boss. He's all of them. He's all of their bosses.
Listen,
so you have that power.
Mr. Morris. You are creating a dictatorship here.
No, it's the Constitution. The Constitution gave the president power of the executive. He's the leader of that branch.
President Joseph Boyka appointed a port manager, the former senator for Grand Bassa County, Mr. Jonathan Kapi, as the port manager in Grand Bassa County. And that shouldn't happen. The port manager proper in Monserrato at the port of
that's different. That's a different issue.
No, that's not different.
No, it's
that's not different.
That's different.
He appoints his deputies. The president cannot appoint the deputies. But anyway, Mr. Tawo, you've been waiting for a while. Chime me on this.
Yeah. So look at what happened here. I see we just running around and we don't want to point this thing out. A lot of the things that are happening, they say it is legal. But because it is legal, don't mean it is right. And if it is legal and it is not right, then that is corruption. That is bad governance, right? Because they have all of this stuff. One of the stuff I would point out because I read that. If Coleman bought this vehicle, what even $2,000, the law that Ellen put on the book, Boyka then put on the book when he was the head of the Senate that he signed. A country like Liberia, that a vehicle after 3 years should be sold for almost nothing, and that law is on the book. Now you see why the country is bankrupt. But who passed this law? That's a law, right? It's the same people in government, the same representatives, senators, the same guy they are conniving against the people to put these things in place. The same people who sat there and gave themselves excessive salaries, $15,000 to $30,000. What kind of law are they passing in Liberia? It's these same people. So if you already have the Justice Ministry that have all of these functions, these branches, all of the stuff that they're talking about, the asset recovery and corruption, all this stuff is already built within your justice system. So because it was legal that, oh, we're going to form one, because they see the US do it. But the US itself have its own problem with that. And this stuff that, oh, if they set that up, they're trying to find something to be independent. No, once you are appointed through a political process, there is no way you can be independent. You cannot be. This is what we have to actually point out. We have to push back on these guys. The institutions that are already settled, the agencies that are already settled, like the Justice Ministry, make them work. Stop trying to create some false pretense that you can set up something else and this will work better than the Justice Ministry. And if it doesn't work, then you set up another one. What are we talking about now? What is the budget? 100% almost of that whole budget is overhead, which is pretty much salaries and benefit. That is how it happened. Through these different agents and these stuff, these people coming as so-called experts, they're making $30,000, $20,000. Tell me, my friends, what have Liberia benefited from all the so-called integrity institution that was set up? None of us here can point out anything unless what they just take. Okay, so all of them are illegal. The task force is illegal. Boyka set this up so that he can move. Look, they're funneling money. They are laundering money through that institution.
Mr. Gimme, you just let the man make a landing statement for iron proof. Come on, man.
Listen.
Can I respond quickly? Just 30 seconds.
Mr. Booty. Now let's look at what's next. For you're the intelligence. Me and Padmo, we're not part of that because we.
No, I'm not part of it either. Don't put me inside.
No, we're not running for that.
I know nothing.
I guess Mr. Booty all by yourself today.
No problem. I'm sure Mr. Tower is with me.
Mr. Booty, here we are. We have somebody coming to power. They say we are coming with the rule of law. We are coming with some integrity. This is not going to be business as usual. And we had this happening, and the court stepped in and said, hey, hold on, you can't do this. What does that say about who we are? We go into the next one, but let's go around real quick. You have not spoken for a while.
Yeah, let me just go quickly. I think I agree with Mr. Tao that look, and I think Mr. Morris or someone else, or maybe Mr. Langwe pointed out that look, this thing is just basically to try and compensate those who campaign and give them jobs and opportunities. Especially when I heard that Mr. Colley is a part of it, that just took me off, right? Having said that, I think I have to agree with Mr. Morris on this one, and tongue in cheek. I have to agree with Mr. Morris because at the end of the day, President Weah set up president.
No.
Mr. Give me that big talk. Let it be talk, please. Let it be talk.
No. Listen,
oh God.
Mr. Padmo, Mr. Booty, the Liberian people, Joseph Boyka made a good case. He says George Weah is incompetent. He did everything wrong. I'm coming here to change. I'm the new sheriff in town. We are not here to relitigate.
No. The main example.
Mr. Padmo was very passionately saying that everything CDC did came from Unity Party, and you didn't complain about that, right? You
Right.
allow him to castigate the Unity Party, which was the previous regime, and say, "Oh, they did it, it was fine." As soon as I called Joe, we are needing.
No,
Let me
Dr.
land.
Woody, he
No, maybe
made
when I
special
land,
reference to the law. He made special reference to the law on the boat. Who constituted this law? It was Joseph Walker as president of the Senate.
again, what we need to do, Mr. Gaiman, is first allow me to land.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
secondly, we need to the second thing we need to do.
I want you to land on the strip, not in the water.
Can we invite Councilor Koyene Freeman, please? He's a legal man. Let's invite him on the show.
The second thing we need to do is to stay focused on the issue, right?
That's correct.
Asset declaration is horrible. We shouldn't bring it into because we're not talking about asset declaration. Tenure position is horrible, but I know what we're talking about. Let's stay focused on the issue. The issue here is the asset recovery team. Is it legal, and are they carrying out their duties in the right way? Now, Mr. Nangwe, Mr. Morris, and I all agree that it is legal. My example I was going to make is President Weah exercised the same executive power when he set up the PIT, the Presidential Investigative Team. When this 16 billion and money was missing, all kind of thing, he set it up. He had the duty. He didn't do it wrong. If anybody say he was wrong, they're lying, because he has that executive power to set up an investigative committee. Someone could come up and say, if we take your argument, Mr. Gaiman, oh, why the police didn't investigate? Why GSC investigate? Why LACC investigate? Why he must set up PIT? Because he felt that he needed a group, like Mr. Morris so elegantly put it, that is, even if I agree with Mr. Tao to some extent that independence is a difficult thing in government, but at least so that there can be the appearance, right? Even if it's not independent, but the appearance of independence, you set up a group that is outside-ish of the government, which is what President Weah did, and it was fine. I accepted it, and now President Bouaka is doing it, and I believe it's legal. Like Mr. Morris said, the process is wrong. And as I pointed out, these things should be taken to the court. We need some, and I think the title that Mr. Morris was looking for, forensic accountants, right? We need some forensic accountants who can follow the money, right? Where is this 100,000? Where did it go? How did they come here? How did they come here? And then take it to court. And then the Justice Ministry can then prosecute those people based on the evidence that this team has found, and then the police can go start seizing cars and taking things and doing that. But that is the process that Mr. Morris talked about, and that is the process we need. But it is legal, but the process is not right. That's pretty much what it is.
Well said, Dr. Booty. I agree with you 100%.
Listen, Dr. Booty, you're going to be kicked out of this program because you're not following And the second reason you're going to be kicked out is for the first time you and Morris on the same team.
On the same team,
something coming to happen.
Yeah. I wish the counter to
how do you call it? Easter. When Jesus Christ is raising this man, something new coming to happen. Okay, gentlemen, Mr. Namwe, let me start with you here. We're going to come back. I didn't even read the executive order because it's so terrible. So I'm going to leave it because it's an indictment of this process. But let's go to another one that just happened. This one is very personal, and I think we should put some humanism, our humanity should come out. Musa Belete's son was arrested for drug possession, drug consumption, and possibly drug peddling. And to me, I am not a fan of Musa Belete, but I think he did something that is unheard of in Liberia. He didn't say, "Do you know who I am?" He allowed this young man to go through the process, the pain and suffering. Maybe at some point it's going to help this guy and hopefully help us. Mr. Namwe, your take on this particular topic.
Well, yes, I heard about this. I didn't read what he wrote, but apparently he himself took to social media to announce that a misfortune had happened in his family. And then, of course, he did an honorable thing by advising the LDA boss to bring the books down on his son, and that he should not give him any deference and allow the law to take its course, in spite of the fact that, he's a powerful man in Liberia. He's an honorable legislator, and I believe he is the chairman on the Committee on Security. So he had all of the influences to quash and hush up this case, but he chose not to do so. And that's one that I think is tremendously worth commendation. And two, all of us here, I'm going to assume, we have at least that family member who could be abusing, substance. And so I do have someone like that in my family, and so my heart really goes out to Mr. Billy. I can imagine, what he's feeling right now. So I like to commend him, one, for the action that he took in his capacity as a government official, and then I also like to commend him for the action that he's taking as a parent. He is not backing away from his son. He is not giving up on him, but he is also giving his son the opportunity to learn, because I think he wants this to be a learning moment for his son. Obviously, according to what he said, the boy is not a kid. He came over here, went to school. I think went to grad school, if I'm not mistaken, went back home, had a good job and all of that. So he's not really a kid. So it sounded to me like this is something they've been struggling with in the family. And I think it has finally come to a head. But I wish the boy well. I hope that he will really take the lesson that his dad is trying to pass on to him, and apply the brakes for a moment and take stock of what he's doing. So hopefully, I hope it will all end well. But my heart goes out to Honorable Musa Ability and the family, and as well as the boy. I also want to commend DEA boss A.B. Kurman. I think he, this particular action signifies to me that he's going to apply the law without favor, and I think he's worth commendation, because he could have easily quashed this case very well before even getting to represent the Musa Ability. So congratulations to the government of the Republic of Liberia on this one. I think they're off to a good start.
Great. Mr. Morris, before I go to Mr. Otawa here, what does this say when you look at the budget? One of the key components of the campaign was Kush, and that they were coming to help. And then when you look at the budget, what is in the budget does not commensurate with the campaign promise. We are not seeing a plan of action where maybe rehabilitation around the country, or 10-year plan, or how this would be done. That also has gone basically squashed. Mr. Morris.
Thank you. Let me just make it clear on this platform, because some people will question what my alignment is. I was a CDC supporter. I'm still a CDC supporter. I prefer President Weah or now President Joseph Boyka. I still stand by it. But many people who have followed me on this platform remember that during the election time and before then, I was quite, vehement that people were being unfair to President Weah when we were just criticizing on any and everything, whether it was legitimate or not. And I was always pushing back on people for doing so. So in this regards, I'm going to be principled, and I'm going to defend this president when I think that the criticism is unwarranted and is unfair. But it's not me. I'm in favor of this president, or I support him. I'm still a CDC sympathizer, and I still think President Weah was the better choice during the past election. Having said that, let me give tremendous credit to this government. Because they're saying that in the land of the blind, one man with one eye is a king. In the land of the lawless, man who is bringing some semblance of law, it seems to be doing well. Every command in this regard is doing well. One of the things that people cry on President Weah during his presidency was he wasn't taking any concrete action on the issue of drugs, proliferation of drugs, you know, the increase of young people using drugs in the country was a national security threat, and the president didn't take any action. He didn't formulate a task force to really work hard on this drug thing, bring people who are knowledgeable on the issue to really try to tackle it. And that's one of the things that cost him these elections. And I think so far, Abu Kumar was the right pick, not only because he's an excellent law enforcement officer, but because he know all of these guys. That's the thing we have to kind of look at the quiet part out, you know, see the quiet part. He know most of these guys. He know that they've been doing drug under the way administration, and he know where to go, the little corners to go, where people will tip him off. Most of these people know each other and know where the drug is coming from. So he knew these things, and now he just you know giving up you know the optics that he's doing deep research to get these guys, but you already know them. I had the privilege to sit on a panel with now Representative Musa Belete sometime last year, and he willingly divulged that his son was, you know, addicted to drugs, and we was talking about, you know, things that was going on here in back home in Liberia, and he said that he was very open about it. And I think, you know, as a parent, you have to take some responsibility because, you know, like today's Easter Sunday, the Bible says you train up your child in a way that when they're older, they will not divert from that way that you brought them up. So parents have to take some responsibility. As myself here, growing up in Liberia, growing up in Congo Town, I had a friend who was very quiet. Parents was really protective of him, barely let him out of the house. You know, wanted to come, to find out that he himself was, you know, he's on drugs. His dad was, you know, telling me what happened, and I couldn't believe it because I felt like they were good parents. They protected their son very well, but only to find out that he himself is on drug now, and it's a sad thing. So I will give credit to the government, at least on the optics, on the looks of it. It seems to be, you know, serious about the drug, situation. So kudos to this government for doing so.
Dr. Booty, when we talk about campaign promises, when we're talking about budgetary allotment, if your budgetary allotment does not commensurate with the with your speech, isn't that just a political talk? When you say Kush is the #1 killer of our generation, the next generation, and then you have nothing in the line item to show you that actually this is really a national security threat issue as we talked about.
First of all, I'm going to try and save my job on the show. Right? So I'm going to disagree with Mr. Morris, right? So let me disagree with Mr. Morris to save my job. I think, and I see Mr. Nangwe approves, right? No, basically, look, I think the one point I want to disagree with Mr. Morris on before answering your question is that his dad cannot be held responsible. This guy's an adult, right? He's made adult decisions, right? And he should be held responsible for those things that he's done as an adult. We can't go blame. There are a lot of things I do now. My parents didn't teach me those things when I was a kid, right? So at the end of the day, you can't go and start blaming my mom and dad, or my aunties that I live with, like, oh, they're doing this bad thing, so that you're taught. No. So let's put that, I think that. Secondly, look, it's a tough thing. I'm not going to restate all of the things that Mr. Nangbe said, which I agree with. But just to say, we support the dad through these difficult times, because it's not easy, for your child to be caught up in things like this, especially when you're a reputable individual in government and people look up to you. Having said that, the last thing I'll say to answer your question, these people I don't think they thought they were going to win the election, right? So they didn't have a plan. It's not a surprise to me that there's no 2-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, 10-year plan, because I don't believe that they thought they were going to win the election. The only way that you plan is because you know you're going to be in a position to deliver on those plans. They did not believe they were going to win. They didn't have a plan. That's why it's taking the president almost 100 days just to set up his government, right? If he thought he was the best person for Liberia and he was going to win the election, he was going to have all of these things planned out. And they were going to be, like, as he pointed out, very clear, And I think it was Mr. Patmo and I that were kind of having a conversation behind the scenes a couple of weeks ago about all the savings that they've made in government, right? But then we see 1 million to agriculture, 1 million to health, 2 million to the other thing. Like, but I thought you saved almost 20-something million or 40-something million just on this. Why can't we see extra 10 million in health and 15 million agriculture? Because I say we're going to grow food. Right, so how is it that you only giving 1 million when you save all this money? These guys never had a plan. That is my opinion on the matter, and that's why you cannot see any plan in the way that they're planning whatever. They're just learning as they go. You know, they do something, we shout, "Hey, it's wrong." They say, "Okay, we'll do that one. Let's do the one." They do something, say, "Hey, that one ain't good," and they stop it. And they will go on like this and waste our time and money for at least another 2 years before they even start putting a plan in place.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, as you see on our screen, Mr. Padmo, if you can go in our chat room and put that flyer up for us. Immediately following this show, Dennis Jar is going to be hosting the Star of Breaking the Bush at 6 p.m. You want to tune in. It's a great movie. You want to tune in and hear the in and out of the show. Mr. Tawo, here we are, a family member, a guy who is very wealthy, can afford everything. That tells you that the drug thing affects everybody, whether you're in the church, you're in the mosque, you are big shot, lower shot, poor man, rich man, it affects everybody. This man, I understand that Mr. Kroma reached out to him first, and he told Mr. Kroma, "Go ahead, follow the rules." Has he told Kroma, "Listen, let's do X, Y, Z, what happened"? But they say he told the DEA fellow, "Listen, you don't need to call me. Let's do the right thing and go through the China." Mr. Tawo.
Okay. So, in the first place, as a parent myself, right? This is personal, right? You have to say you sympathize with the parent. But to say that Musa Ability is a great man because of this, I personally don't think this should have been a major topic on this discussion. We have very, very pressing things that are happening in Liberia that we could have discussed, could have filled in that area. But having said that, Musa Ability's son, just like any other Liberian, if you break the law, you have to be dealt with. If the law says that a whole bunch of kids who are disadvantaged have been picked up every day and they've been penalized every day, their lives are not less important than Musa Ability or Weah or Ellen kids. So I don't think there should be anything here to say that we should praise Musa Ability or adore him in any way. So I think if we even try to go that way, then that it shows the extent to which the bar is low and we don't even believe in the system that we say we have. And then, so if A.B. Kroma call him, why are we even saying that the government doing a great job? Why is A.B. Kroma doing a great job? He called him. Does he call the parents of the other kids that he picked up from Nuclear, from Looking Town, from Pinsville, from Red Light? No, he doesn't. So we have to look at these things. And in the first place, the problem with drugs, or like anything, is poverty, right? So where is the program? So you arrest all these people. So you bring them to court and you put them in jail. Then what? So the jail's going to get full. And then what are you going to do? Release them. Then what? So what is the actual plan? It doesn't exist. So I don't see anything here to say I really praise the government. A lot of this stuff, why it have some impact, wherein you remove some temporary structures out of place. A lot of it is still a PR stunt to say that the government said this, they're serious. But there is no actual program in which you're going to function to have an actual long-lasting effect or even short-term effect. I would like to disagree with Mr. Booty vehemently when he says that the guys don't have a plan, that they don't have a 5-year plan because they didn't think they were going to win, because they always have a plan. You see, we have to.
I mean, a plan for the country, not the plan to steal.
Yeah. They have a plan. The plan that they have, all of them, is not for the country. You see, we have to zoom in on this, and we have to be solid about this. We keep trying to think that the guys are making some kind of mistake, that somehow they have some missteps. No, it's not. Look at all of the political parties that are set up. They have no real structure that is set up in form of real leadership to where they have an actual structure where they come in, they can actually lead. You know why? Because their intention and the entire nucleus of those things is to come in and reach themselves. Is not to actually have a plan to really lead the country. So when you see what's happening, whether it was Honor, Weah, or Ellen, or this government right here, that is how it's set up. They're not making a mistake. They're not having some kind of clumsiness or that, oh, they went ahead, they arrested this. They took the taxi before they did this. They knew that they would do this and the court would stop it. This is the plan. So it's the scene with the draw. So, right? This is the plan. They have a plan, but the plan.
Mr. Gabriel, can I get 10 seconds?
Yeah, it's not for the country. It is not for the country.
Let's go.
That is why everything seems like it's not working. These guys, you think they don't have common sense? If me and you were sitting here and these guys, they're so-called educated, right? Like Jerome said, they come to the US and they do this and they go to school, and somebody said that they come back and they get. So you think they don't know what we are talking about here? I know some of these people from past government. I sit with them and we talk. You know, I'm not going to say the name. In top areas, LPRC, because I work in oil and gas. So when I went there, I assessed those areas at the port in different places. They're not making a mistake. You know what? Many of them told me, hey man, we are here. We don't know how long we're going to last. You try to grab as much as you can grab. That's it. I was sitting at the airport in DC when the second term in 2011, 12 was happening. I was quiet. There was a whole area, almost 60 people from the US.
Again, we're looking at time, though. Let's be equitable with the time, please.
Please, the moderator, please don't.
Yeah, Mr. Morris, you gotta really try and hold your peace. You interrupt a lot.
Morris want to be kicked off this show. He try hard. He and Booty, they're going to be kicked off this show.
Because
no, if the man talking for 10 minutes, some of us we try to hurry ourselves.
Don't even go there.
With time in mind, we try to hurry ourselves.
Don't even go there. Go ahead, Dr. Tawo, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there and they're planning. They're going, man, look, you're going to get here, you're going to get here. So they're going in, whether they're trained in the US or wherever. Because I'm still trying to make the point of Dr. Budi that he said, and we make all those excuses. I watch almost all of the different shows. Everybody make the excuses. Oh, they had a misstep. They should have done it. They just made a mistake here. They didn't follow the law here. No, it's all calculated moves. Everybody was planning to went in. They took these positions, and I knew many of them. And what happened? They were buying houses here. They were buying cars here. They were doing this one. They were doing that one. They were building structures all over in Liberia. So they always have a plan. The plan is just not in the interest of the nation.
Thank you. Mr. Padmo, close on this one. So we'll go to the next one.
Thank you very much.
That's your buddy now. That's your buddy. I'm watching you.
Yeah, no. Honorability is my buddy. That's my chairman. Somebody I've come to greatly admire and respect. As a human being, as a leader, and as a businessman. And as a human being, as a father, my heart goes out to him. No, you can do everything right with each other, and they can still go wrong. It is what you just do the best you can, and you hope that what you have instilled in them is enough for them to make good decisions. But my heart goes out to him and his family. I know his wife very well. We went to school together, CWA. So my heart goes out to his family. I hope his son finds his way back. But somebody in the comment section, said that this puts a face on drug addiction in Liberia, and it does. Unfortunately, it has to be Musa's son, but it does. Because a lot of times when we talk about drugs, we only think we're talking about Zogos. But there are a lot of people, children, who will turn to be middle class people that went to good private school, and stuff, and the children are addicted to drugs. And it has to, we have to do something. Arresting is not the answer. It's only the beginning. Once they're arrested, then what? Do they go to rehab? Do they see counselors? What is the deal? AB Kroma can only arrest. He has no power to do anything else. Is he? Will the health ministry come in and supplement that part where they provide rehabs? And other supplemental things that can help these young people get away from drugs. So that's what I have to say concerning Musa, and I will end there.
The money for rehab gone to the Assest Recovery team already.
Listen, Jerome, I like to quickly point out to my brother Tao. I'm not sure if you're aware that in Liberia, there is a law that allows, if you are arrested, to be released under the reconnaissance of someone notable in the community. Musa is a notable person. His son could have been released in his care and still face the law as is laid out. So that's one reason I'm commending him. Two, AB Kroma called Musa, even here in the States. I'll give an example. A couple of years back, all my kids are out of high school now, but one of my boys stole our car. He was out at 2:45 in the morning. The cops arrested him. They woke me up at 2:45 in the. So it's not wrong that he took up the phone to call Musa and alert him and say, look, your son has fallen foul of the law. But I don't think he in any way intended to tell Musa to come and take the boy home. It's on that basis that I think he was also executing his job as he should have. That's all. Thank you.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move to the next one. There's a comment section that say, at the beginning, President Boyka went to drug test and we were laughing at it. Yes, we are still laughing because if he had taken the thing to be seriously, what he thought it was, besides the photo op, he would have put a lot of resources in there to say, I am serious about this drug testing. It is serious. I'm going to take the $10 million that I say I cut from my own salary and all that. I'm going to put it into drug rehabilitation there. But he never did. Instead, he
we can all agree this government is doing better on the drug issue than the previous government. We can all agree on that.
Excuse me. No, you can't speak for me. You can't speak for anybody. Speak for yourself.
So disagree because
what I'm saying here, I'm saying this because my last year of research at the Echo Youth Development Center at the Reality Therapy Institute. The last month I was there, guess whose daughter was arrested and brought in for drugs? My own governor in Florida, my Republican governor, Jeb Bush, the president's niece, the president of the United States, George Bush's niece, was arrested, and it looks like they have kept this thing quiet for a long time, and finally it got to the point where they needed to actually get law enforcement involved, and they arrested this young lady and brought her into the rehab center. So I'm saying this, it doesn't matter whether you are poor, even though we handle it differently, but I say President Boyka, from the onset, when and called a major news conference, say he took drug tests. I don't know whether he passed the drug test, because usually... Listen.
Well, you say that this president is handling the drug issue better than President Weah did. That's the question.
Excuse me, sir. When the man did the drug test, that should have said, I'm now taking, like here, I'm taking it seriously. X amount of money is going to be taken from my this, from my that, and it's going to be put to them. Other than that, nothing happened. Let's go to the next one. Let me start with you here, Mr. Nangwe. For a while now, we have not started with you. So let's start with you. And please make sure you keep your job. I don't want to put you in the same category as Mr. Booty and
I will stay away. I will stay away from them too.
Okay, Chief, Mr. Padmo, you take on the third and hopefully the final one. Can you read it and see what is it that we're supposed to be doing there?
You are muted.
I was actually clear there. Click I was unmuting.
Okay.
Apparently, so there's been another mine collapse in the country. This time in River Cess. There's been speculation that there's still people underground. 10 bodies were retrieved. There's been speculation that other people are caught underground. Some people are, including, I believe, the Senator, Javon Smith, is saying that is not true. that they dug out the mine and there was nobody, they didn't find any other bodies. But that statement has not been confirmed by the mines and energy experts who are supposed to be on the ground. And we've seen this more and more in Liberia, where mining is being done. There are no precaution. There are no hazard things done. It's just, and then when it collapses, it's like, oh well. So, Mr. Nangwe, there you go. There we have it. We have a new government. We have a new mines and energy chief. What say you? What are your expectations for this government?
Well, yeah, Jivon is a very close friend of mine, but I listened to part of what he said, and even Mr. Isaac Williams, I believe, the information officer in the superintendent's office. Yeah, there seems to be a lot that they may not be aware of that's happening in the county. But the Daily Observer reported this story. I think about 10 confirmed dead. This was on March 5th, I believe. But it speaks to the larger problem. Everybody in Liberia is hustling. We all go to Liberia and see the fervor in the streets. You know, a lot of the people in Liberia are just trying to make ends meet. I understand that the company that was operating this area might not have found it profitable enough or whatever, but they ceased operation and left the holes in there, and the people decided to take advantage to go in there and hustle. So I think that is the message really that's emerging out of this thing, that again, this rescue mission needs to hurry up. There are a lot of people in Liberia who need help. So yeah, I think these people went in there to try to dig up something and hustle and find their daily bread. And the host collapsed on them. There's a gentleman who was quoted in the papers. He had gone at length to try to warn people, and they told him, you know, pretty much to go and sit somewhere else. You know, and unfortunately, you know, these people were buried under the mines. But yes, 10 dead. And this mine collapse thing, according to the Observer too, seems to be happening more frequently now since 2022. They cited several instances. I know the biggest one we remember was the Norway camp. I think it was 84, 85 in Cape Mount. So, you know, back then, I think we were still, yeah. So since then, I don't remember any major incident like that until, you know, in recent times. So yes, the government, I think they should. This is also another indication to them to tell them how much the people, you know, are in a hurry to find relief, and they have a responsibility to do something. What also even saddens me is that, you know, I haven't heard any official comment. You know, the president is the consoler in chief, like they say here. When these kind of things happen, I know March 5th, today is already the 31st, so that's like what, 16, if my math is right, or 26 days, I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, so you know, I hope you will finally come around, you know, and help to console these people. But yeah, there are a lot of grieving people in River Cess today. So I don't know why the superintendent is unaware of it. I don't know why Senator Jivon Smith is unaware of it, but the people who are not with us today, at least 10 of them, and their families who are grieving in River Cess.
Mr. Elvis, Mr. Boyka doing better than we are. So River Cess does not have a superintendent as of now. That's the first problem. The government is so slow to appoint people. The second thing is that when the same thing happened in Nimba, near Tapeta, we complained that Jowea was silent and didn't come up to speak to the nation. But I can tell you, please try and explain to me why the government better than we are government.
Okay, I will reiterate. I'm a CDC sympathizer. I support the CDC. I thought President Weah was a better choice in the past election. You can't blame President Boyka for this. We talked about it on our last show last Sunday. Regulatory agencies that are not doing their jobs should be, you know, looked at and investigated. I'm sure the Ministry of Lands and Mines have a regulatory agency that's supposed to inspect these mines, make sure that they're in good working condition and they're not hazardous to the workers working there. So if you have these, you know, what people think when they say artisanal mining, Look, artisanal mining is mostly going to the creek, putting a little basket in there, taking a few rock and sifter in it, not digging into the ground. That's not artisanal mining. So when people say people are doing artisanal mining and they're digging into the side of hills and going into mountains, that's not artisanal mining. So if these guys went there, knowing that this is what dangerous, and like people said, people have warned them before that this is a dangerous thing, people should resist or desist from doing it, and you go and take that risk, and something happened to you, I'm sorry to say, you're complacent in your own death. So people should be smart enough to understand that these are dangerous instruments that can kill you. You can't go into a hillside and go and go look for diamond or gold, and then something fall out on you, and you blame the new president that came into power that he doesn't mean well for the country because somebody made a personal a choice and got killed in it. Even in this very country, coal miners they sign a waiver. They know that they're going to a very dangerous job, and when they go into the coal mine, sometimes the mine collapse. We've seen it here in the United States. We've seen it in Argentina. These are dangerous jobs, even when they're regulated, let alone when it's unregulated. So I think the key here is the regulatory agencies that should have people there and stopping people who are not qualified from going into these places, knowing that they're very dangerous. So please, let's not compare Weir to Boyka on
Okay.
this
Thank
part
you
of
very
it.
much. Let me go to your body.
One
Let me go
minute.
to- Go ahead.
One minute
No,
here.
please don't give Mr. Gimme no meaning because he refused to give me my 1 minute, my 10 second last time.
Mr. Padmore,
Yes, sir.
I am reading here
Mhm.
from the latest news from there. The county of River Cess, they said they have established an emergency in the absence of national government.
Mhm.
In the absence, the failure of national, this thing happened days ago,
Weeks
ago. And up to now, they have called Monrovia several times. So the River Cess caucus have decided to form their own team to get excavator from private people to go and excavate. Our family are still coming with name of missing family members. Mr. Padmore, real quick, then we'll go to Mr. Booty. This is when we say national disaster. Does it matter whether you brought it on yourself? People who are flying in plane and the plane fall and the president speak to it, are they responsible? Come on now. Go ahead, Mr. Padmore.
So I'll provide some information that I'll pass on to Dr. Booty. So let me correct some things. The first thing is these people that died were not mine workers.
Right.
These were people from the community. The second thing is that this was not an active mine.
Right.
This mine was an abandoned mine. When you abandon a mine, there's a process. How you abandon the mine to make sure that it is safe, so that other people don't stray into the mine looking for the thing where they lost. None of that was done. The mine was left open.
And it was abandoned under President Weir's regime.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. It was abandoned under President Weir's regime, and left open, no seal, nothing. A community of people went in there. Okay, and here we are today. Ministry of Mines and Energy, nowhere to be found.
So is the Ministry of Forest, is that the people that went there? Adult men who went there to go look for the delivery, not their fault.
Mr. Booty, talk, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Booty. Let me see you back the mayor today.
Oh no! I try to keep my position so I can't disagree. No, I think first of all, I want to go back and link myself to Mr. Nangwe because I want to just pretend like Mr. Morris didn't say what he just said, because I think
stay with me, Dr. Buddy. Stay with me.
Oh yeah. First of all, we're talking about 11 Liberians who lost their lives, right? I think we need to just take a step back and just understand 11 human beings or 10 of our brothers and sisters or brothers have lost their lives, right? So whether they made a mistake by going in there or not is irrelevant, right? That is irrelevant. So I'll disagree with Mr. Morris on that. I was in Liberia in January. My sister and myself were traveling to Ganta. We stopped in Tapeta, where the other incident we had with the petrol truck, right? And when you start to look at these things, it gives you a clear picture, like Mr. Nangbe was saying. The country raved. Let's put it in the Liberian English now. The country raved The people in power, whether it be Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, whether it be the ones before her, like President Taylor and President Doe and President whomever, like Mr. Taiwo said, these individuals come in, make the big promises, get into office, and do nothing to change the lot of the ordinary people. So people have to go the water dry. So people have to find way to fish, eat fish kind of thing going on. So any opportunity that people see, even with the risk, right? Even with the risk, they will take that risk and go in there because that's the only way they believe that they'll be able to put food on the table. When you have a kid at home, when you have a wife at home crying, no food, want you think you will be sitting there, you see who that maybe you can get go in to sell, to put food on the table so your baby can eat and say, no, I will not go there. People don't think like we are thinking now because we have options. These guys, those are their only options. They had no other thing that they could do, so they went into it. Now, I think it's a complete, and I want to use the right word here, derogation of duty, right? That the president of the Republic of Liberia, irrespective of the fact that he doesn't have a superintendent in River Cess County, hasn't come out and said very clearly his sorrow to the families who are grieving, right? He should have done it by now. He should have done it by now without comparing him with President Weah. Because now we are in power now. Abuaka in power. We're talking about current events. He should have come out and he should be ashamed of himself that he hasn't come out. And the cynic in me, right? The cynic in me is basically looking at this. He's looking at, I'm sure River Cess went for George Weah, right? And he thinks, yeah, you know, that there are people. Because when the thing happened in Cape Mount, that voted for him, police were there all ready to go and sort the situation out. So how is Cape Mount different from
That's a dangerous and tribalistic rhetoric you're spewing, Dr. Moody.
It's not tribalistic, it's a fact. Has the president come out to say anything about River Cess?
No.
Did River Cess vote for him?
No.
That's facts. Right? I'm drawing conclusion from facts. I'm not making up the facts.
Dr. Moody, you are on fire. You are on fire tonight.
No, woman, but they kept my counter.
So you are insinuating the president only sends condolences to people that voted for him. No. Don't say that because you're spewing tribalistic rhetoric on the platform.
Stop interrupting me and let
me.
No,
it's a conversation.
No, but I'm stating the fact. Did Cape Mount County vote for Abuaka?
Yes.
Was the response immediate?
Yes.
Draw your own conclusion and tell me I'm wrong for having the conclusion I've just drawn.
Great.
Don't dog whistle on this platform. We have to stop it.
That's not a dog whistle. It's facts, my brother. I'm not.
What is the fact? What are you insinuating? That President Abuaka only sympathize with people who voted for him? Is that what you're saying on this platform?
Mr. Morris, if something happens in a place that favors you and you respond quickly, and something happens in a place that did not favor you and you don't respond, what conclusions are you expecting people to draw? You tell me now.
You say you're a smart man. You're a man that has a doctorate. You have to be able to read between the lines and look at the nuances of it. You can't just draw broad conclusions like that. That's not intellectual. You can do that.
Those are the nuances. Those are the nuances.
Bon Conte voted for President Weah. When that thing happened in Totota, President Abuaka went and sent condolences with them.
Mr. Taiwo.
Why are we saying this?
Mr. Taiwo, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, guys. We come on this platform for us to discuss things, right? And I want for me to point something out very clearly here. Mr. Morris is on this platform. He gave his opinion. He gave whether it's speculation, whether there is fact. Nobody interrupt him. People let him talk. Nobody question his educational credential or his intellectual ability. But he has the audacity to over question somebody's credential and their faculty.
Me, don't say somebody.
I never question your credential. I say you're a doctorate. I say you have a doctorate.
Let that be my certificate and show it to you.
Mr. Taiwo.
Dr. Booty.
After the tea, when the chat room, I'll get more.
I apologize, Mr. Taiwo. My apologies.
Dr. Booty, I don't think. Listen, this particular show, you see people of credibility here. We respect what you do, we respect what you say, we respect your credential. We know what it is. It is not an easy thing to get high school diploma. I know that for the fact. I know how long it took me. I'm not even talking about my undergraduate or graduate. PhD, unless unless you did it like George Weah or Joseph Boyka, you so Boyka became president, went to UMU, and they call him Dr. Boyka. George Weah became president. He went to another school. They call him Dr. Boyka. That is not what we're talking about. So it's different. But yes, Dr. Booty, the conclusion to me makes sense. But I will come to it.
Let me just finish. We have to be very careful with this. If Mr. Dr. Booty made a point that was constitutionally valid, that Liberia's law cannot be subjugated by any other law, whether international. We sit here, we mention the Constitution, rule of law. We mention the U.S. On that same ground, the U.S. itself could not subscribe to the ICC. Not only that the U.S. stopped, but they instituted another law that called the Hague Invasion Treaty for the U.S. forces to move into the Hague to invade that place if they arrest any U.S. citizen. Dr. Booth was making the same point. Mr. Morris questioned his credentials. He's just making a point here right now that, hey, look at this and look at this. That is what we come here for. It doesn't matter how we see it. All of a sudden, you say you are an educated man. You're questioning his mental capacity. That is an insult. That is denigrating somebody. These things need to stop.
No. You're just saying that so we don't hold you accountable when you make outlandish statements. I can assure you, I will speak out when people make irresponsible statements.
Yeah, but you can
even if you have a doctorate or you're a high school dropout, you make.
I think you're making a outlandish statement.
No, I'm not. He's equating this president to being divisive based on the election. You can't do that. We gotta unite our country, man.
National tragedy. The president has to address the nation.
Okay. So Jerome, let me speak to this. You see the problem that we are having, why it is in this initial stage, right? Why the government have to respond to that, irrespective of who is at fault. But this is actually beyond the government. This is a problem with our concessions and the concession laws and how we grant concessions. Because I come from industry, and if you go ahead and you mine a place, there are processes where you have to redress the land if you are going to leave.
Yeah.
You have to do land restoration. What happened? They said bombing hole, right? From Bombing Hill. This is the same thing we are talking about. So this is actually deeper than it's beyond this government. Yes, they have to respond within the immediate term for the emergency. But so if we are not able to even hold these people responsible for them to redress the land and restore the land, then we should put concessions on hold. These are the same things we're talking about for concessions. So that is where the issue is. Why this emergency, yes, it's a tragic thing and the government should have responded. But from what I saw was that there were even senators present in that area from what I read, right? Whether it's true or not, but that they were sending the young men in there to go and get stuff for them to actually be able to get gold out of it. That they had gone in there to retrieve some gravel. So, and there was one senator and some guys were there that were government officials that they were pretty much washing their gold at the creek. And one of those young men that survived, he actually spoke that he was forced for him to go in there and he narrowly escaped. So yes, the government in the response with respect to the responding to the emergency, yes, they are fault that it took this long. But it is beyond this government that we need to look at our concession, how we issue concession, how we hold these companies responsible so that they can restore the land when they are done using it. Great. Instead of going to the community and just digging holes and stuff in the book counties, after you store their resources, and then you leave it open and you leave. Yes, they're going to go in there. If I was in Liberia and I was in that area and I needed to eat and I knew that I could get some gold from out of there, I'll go in there. I most likely will go in there.
Right. ladies and gentlemen, right after this show at 6 o'clock,
Wow. Look at
Dennis
time is
John
up.
is going to host I guess is the producer of the famous Liberian show, the movie called Breaking the Bush. They are going to be discussing it here. He's going to be here to answer all the questions. It's something that we all need to tune into. A Liberian filmmaker is
Who?
coming out
Frank
here.
Atus?
Huh?
Frank Atus, is that the guy or is that a different person?
I don't know. The information we're getting is that that show is going to be the guest the next hour, 6 o'clock. So I want to believe if that's the case, he is the guy who is coming. Breaking the Bush will be discussed right here with Dennis Jar. Mr. Namwe, we got 10 minutes here, so we'll go around 1 minute. But let's talk about this. This thing brought us, somebody just mentioned OSHA, right? We are talking about the safety of our folks. In the early government under Joseph Boyka, we signed 68 concession agreements. And Global Witness and the international community says 66 out of the 68 agreements were against the Liberian people. Is it coming back? This is a complete circle. When they first said this, everybody was saying that the international people get out of our business, they into everything. This is it. I think Mr. Tawo has a point here. When you dig all the holes and leave them, when people hear, people are poor, they are destitute. They hear this is a gold mine. The people left it open. This is a diamond mine. The people there are processes in. When you are done, this is what you're supposed to do. This is how it's supposed to happen. It doesn't happen, Mr. Namwe.
Yeah, and I think it's sad. That's part of the problems I think that we have with our country. Yeah, there is a protocol that is laid out on how you roll out when you cease operation in a place like this. I agree with Mr. Morris. The shacking responsibility by the regulatory agencies. I think there should be an agency that is responsible for that. But apparently that was not done. Now, this is one of the reasons why Mr. Wallo continues, to remind us of HPX and all of that. And this is one of the reasons why some of us are not exactly excited about HPX, because we witness the photo ops and all these flowery pronouncements from the previous government with such negotiations where we don't have any details. They come in, make these pronouncements, and then when the details finally come out, they are far, far different from what the facts are. So HPX, some write-up was done by the Front Page Africa that indicated that the deal that they are pursuing will yield far less than the purported 50 billion that they're supposed to be investing in the deal. That makes it questionable. So again, yes, from our experience with the Ellen Johnson government, where over 60 contracts, were negotiated, and I think about, I would say maybe 2% or so of those were found to be legitimate, and the rest of them were just blah, like our people say. So yes, we like our people to bring in investors. It is a responsibility. That is why they took the helm of power. So they have to go out there and bring us investors, but they have to make sure to do their due diligence. Bring us credible investors. Don't bring us people who will leave holes in River Cess and run away and leave our people to die. Don't bring us, people who will come to us and make flowery promises and actually have no 2 feet to stand on. So we're hoping that this government will help us quickly. They've been in there 2 months already. We're not seeing much happening, and so we're very concerned. But yes, again, my deepest sympathies to the people of River Cess. I believe this is Bassa land. I believe this is Rescue Mother's land as well. And I don't know what she has said about this incident. Certainly, the government has not said anything about it, and that, to me, is unacceptable.
Thank you. Mr. Tawo, you're closing 1 minute.
Yes. The problem that we are having in Liberia is corruption. Everything that we discuss here, the reason we come here, corruption is what making everything to not work. And the corruption that is happening It's all happen. A lot of it, like about maybe 90% of that, is happening legally. And how is it happening legally? Some of the stuff that we discuss here. Setting up the asset recovery team, moving 6 million in there. Setting up GSCs when you already have Justice Ministry, moving a bunch of money in there. What is the budget for those guys? A lot of money. But that could have been done through the Justice Ministry with less money, move the other money into areas that can impact the country. So maybe from the disaster, even though we have the disaster recovery team right in Liberia, right? But why have they not responded? So maybe from the disaster, we need to settle another committee to investigate that because they're not capable. And then we just keep setting up something, right? But look, our problem with these concessions is never going to work for us. These are colonial slave or system that are set up. Give cheap stuff, give it for free. We try to bring in some gold. My family back home, we have a mining background. My dad was in it before the war. For you to bring just raw gold in here, is you have to actually come out of pocket to get it in. So we have to get out of it. So if Liberia, they say the budget is small, they need to grow it. It's never going to grow. I'm just giving an overview because I'm talking about corruption. It cannot grow because you cannot raise no domestic tax base to get that budget to $1 billion. The way you do it, you need to go into joint venture. The government need to go into joint venture with these people that be concession companies.
Thank you.
Go into joint venture, hold a certain percentage, add value to a certain percentage of what you're doing, ship it out. You can raise more money that way.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Elvis Morris, 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman. Look, let me say this. For some people who have not followed me on this platform for the few years I've been on here, I'm the kind of person who can't be pacified. Nobody can pacify me on this platform. When I was in favor of President Weah during the election, I would be on a panel where everybody would be against President Weah. I would be the only one there, and I would speak loudly and firmly. So when I'm on this platform, whether everybody disagree with me, I'm the only person on one point I would stand my ground. So nobody should be writing that they should try to control me. If you know me, you know where I come from. Nobody can control me. I speak my mind and I say it how I see it. So that's something that you should get off your mind. If I'm not on the platform, I will still be fine. My life will still go on. This is not something that I'm looking at to be so precious that I must contour to what other people think I should say. I see it how I say it. At the Buddha, let me say this again. When I address you, I wasn't questioning your credential. What I told you was, you're a doctorate. You have a doctorate, so you have to be measuring how you speak. You can't just say things that will further divide us.
You just said nobody should tell you how to speak, but you're telling someone how to speak. What kind of man is this?
No. I can respond to somebody, and you can respond to me. You will never hear me telling somebody, don't talk to me that way, or don't say that to me. Never. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it, and you can rebuff me. You can say something back to me. But when people say in the comments of other people are saying I shouldn't talk to my fellow panelists in that way, look, we shouldn't be divisive on the platform. If I'm divisive, you can call me out. If I think you're being divisive, I'll call you out. But nobody's going to pacify me and tell me what not to say and how to speak. You know that, Mr. Gaiman. We've been on this platform for a long time. On other shows, people know how I go. So I'm not afraid to being, quote unquote, kick off the platform. It's not my daily bread. We don't get paid for our time here. We just do it because we want to give our opinions on these topics. So I'm not afraid of being, chastised, quote unquote. So nobody should threaten me with being kick off the platform. It doesn't matter to me. But thank you again. I appreciate it.
Dr. Budi, real quick, 1 minute, and then 5 more.
I'll try and do mine in 30 seconds. I think first of all, I would like to say thanks to everyone, Mr. Langbe, Mr. Morris, Mr. Fatmo, Mr. Tao, and Mr. Gaiman. It's been a very good show. I really enjoyed it tonight. I think what I would like to say, I want to address the tribal issue, right? So I was fortunate on the 13th of November, I published an opinion piece in the Frontage Africa newspaper. That was after the first round of elections. And I basically analyzed the data from the election commissions. And it was clear that the voting that was going on between the two candidates was on tribal lines, right? Everybody from Nimba County voted for Joseph Waka because they had a Nimba person on the ticket. And all of the areas, the Lofa and Bakolu and those sides kind of voted for Waka because there's kind of an affiliation, right? And Montserrado and Magibi were the two counties that looked a bit neutral. but all of the southeastern counties voted for President Weah. And basically what I said in my article is what the result was showing was a worrying sign of a divided and tribal Liberia. That was the title of my article. And the point I'm making here is drawing on the same point I made there. Is the president has to do more to unify the country. All right, he has to do more to unify the country. If I, right, can see and draw conclusions that look, you're treating one group differently to how you're treating another group, there are a lot of people drawing the same conclusions. I'm not the only person that's drawing the conclusion, because the Maryland County group that has come out and written a piece, oh, we're doing this void of the national authorities, they're not stupid. They're doing it because they're trying to point out the people ain't care about us, right? That's basically what I'm not trying. It's not me that is making this up. It is the action or inaction from the leadership that is further dividing the people. The fact that I'm pointing it out doesn't make me divisive. It just means that I see it and I call it. But I'll leave it there. I think my main question that I'll leave, and hopefully Mr. Morris can answer it in a message to me, is okay, what other conclusions can you draw for why the reaction was quick from Cape Town and is slow from River Cess? What other conclusion can you draw?
Great. Thank you. Guys, it's 6 o'clock. Mr. Patton will take us out.
Thank you guys so much for joining. We really appreciate it. Thanks to our audience. We know you guys take your time off from your families to come and join us. We appreciate you. Sorry we weren't able to bring anybody on the telephones. We're still working on a few things. Hopefully next week we'll be able to do so. But once again, please, next week join us. As you know, if it's 4 p.m. on Sunday, it's On Point. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate you. I think that's it, right?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Booty, we look forward to see you next Sunday. Mr. Morris, Mr. Namwe, Mr. Tawo, obviously, Mr. Patmore and I are going to be here. Thank you, and guys, stay tuned for...
We all Labira is